we've had a lot of Wayfinder content come out recently, and we wanted to do another episode of the comments section. What are you guys saying about Wayfinder? And we're going to go through the story arc of the launch of Wayfinder. We're going to look at how hyped people were before the launch. We're going to take a look at launch, kind of when everything went wrong, and then just kind of give our thoughts on what we want to see going forward. So before we get doom and gloom, let's pull the first comment. All right, this one's from the True Pac-Man. He says, I've been excited since last August when I first heard about it. I love Airship Syndicate and everything they have done. Looking forward to being able to spend as little as 30 minutes in the afternoon or going full degen 12-hour sessions on a weekend with nothing else I have to do. Exalted Founders Pack for me. So he's kind of echoing, he brings it right off the bat, right? The drop in, drop out, right? And talk a little bit about that. That was something that I think appealed to you maybe more than any of us, right?
Yeah, I think now in our stage of our lives, we don't want a game that's just going to completely consume us. That it's going to be good for both short sessions and longer sessions, and that you can achieve what you want to and at least contribute to your character and your journey with the game, no matter how long you play. I don't want to feel like I have to log on, but when I do, I want to make sure that I'm still able to access all the content and have a good time. So I mean, I agree with this guy. Yeah, that's pretty much how we felt when we started making videos on Wayfinder.
It was the main selling point. And to your point, I think we want a game that we can go full degen mode on. We just can't anymore, right?
We like the impossible thought. The reality just isn't there. Yeah.
It's not there. And so these types of MMOs or types of games, you know, Remnant, you guys have played tons of Remnant, kind of a similar style. It's just perfect for us right now. It just does appeal to us. It's so perfect. And we talked about it before a little. It's kind of the casual version of Warframe, right? And
that's a great way to put it, yeah.
And the Warframe developers, Digital Extreme, have partnered with Airship Syndicate. And I think even they see that, and they're trying to maybe I don't want to say make the game they wish they could have, but there's just a big opportunity to maybe fix a lot of the problems with Warframe or see some of the holes in their game design philosophy and try to fix some of those things with Wayfinder. And that's appealing, right?
Or just have a Warframe light, so to speak, right? Like
totally.
Something that kind of scratches that itch, but doesn't require you to still dive in there for hours at a time.
Yep. So True Pac-Man, he was onto something there. Totally agree. All right, Scott, we're going to move to phase 2 in the story arc, right? So our first video we put out on Wayfinder was kind of a what is Wayfinder kind of video and why it appeals to us. Obviously, the drop in, drop out. Pac-Man nailed that. So the next thing that caught our attention were some of the MMO features, right? And kind of an MMO light, because we're obviously have a huge history with MMOs. That's largely what the channel is about. And so what were the MMO features? And we saw a couple that we really liked, and we put out a video talking about housing, how that could kind of appeal to us and other MMO players. So let's see what people were saying about housing when that video dropped and what their comments said.
Okay, so Lost in Blue says, the housing of this game makes me want to try it. Hope they will implement the communities. And hey, True Pac-Man coming at it again here. I think the housing system that will be in place during early access looks better than some housing I've seen in the past. And if they manage half of what they want, it could be the best we've seen.
I wouldn't say for housing, I'm like someone who goes super in-depth with housing, but I do really like that feature and having a place in an MMO space that you can call home. And so that's why we made the video about it. It just seems super cool. And so Lost in Blue and Pac-Man, I think a lot of the community was feeling exactly what they're kind of saying here. And they were saying there's a lot of potential there. We made the comparison sort of to WildStar in our video, and like, hey, if they can even scratch the surface of what WildStar did, this is going to bring a lot of players in. So
yeah, and I mean, we don't have to rehash the entire conversation that we had on that video. You can go check it out if you want. But the point that I think, just to tie a quick bow on that whole video, is like, housing's a great bonus. It can be fun. It adds another dimension to the game and the immersion. So while it's not on the top of the list for me as a priority, and something that I particularly want to focus on for myself. It's a cool thing to have. It's just something else that adds to the game. But I'm more concerned with actually logging in right now.
All right, so let's move on to the next step in the story. This is right before launch. What are people buying? Because you know what? They're selling packs, right, to get into the early access. And so,
that's bold.
Devorn says, personally, I want to support the game because I enjoyed the beta immensely. I will be getting the Exalted pack, which is the $150 pack. So I would say Devorn is probably, I think a lot of people were willing to drop some cash for this early access. And this is what is setting up the issues that we're about to get into. I bought the $20 pack just because I was like, before I play the game, I don't want to invest that much. I know some people would say it's going free to play in like 6 months, just wait. But $20 for a good game is not, but that's a really good deal. And from everything we've seen, the game looked good, right, Scott? I mean, from the videos, content creators, right? You didn't have any.
I think
trepidation,
$20 was fine. Yeah. No, I think it was fine for a buy-in to an early access, especially if you wanted to play it first. I find it fair, and I wasn't apprehensive to put that out for it.
And to instead wait 6 months, that's a long time. And a lot of it was social for us too, because we had a lot of friends jumping in. So I'm sure other people felt the same.
And it's been a while since we've had a game that all of us have wanted to play. I mean, if we're being honest here, right? Especially you and me.
And I think a lot of older gamers, dads in our position, probably are feeling the same thing, right? You have kids dictating schedules, and so your buddies that you've been gaming with for years, it gets harder and harder to find that time. And also, this is a really interesting topic. I just want to touch on it briefly before we move on, because now that our time is so much more valuable in a way, the games we choose are almost different in a way as well. So maybe back in the day, we're playing a new game comes out, we're like, oh yeah, I'll jump in and try that with you, because we had so much more time to play games. But now that we have so little time, we want to pick the absolute games that we feel we're going to get the most out of, right? And so it becomes harder to find that game, like you're saying, to your point, that everybody wants to play at the same time.
And there's a certain sense of guilt that comes with that. If I buy a game and I spend time playing it and it's really not that good, I feel like I've wasted some valuable time.
Like a buyer's remorse.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But it goes more in depth because, like you said, we don't have a lot of time. And then I'm like, man, instead of playing this crappy game, I probably could have spent a little more time with my kids before they went to bed or something like that. Really, so I want it
else.
You're right. Anything. Yeah. So it is difficult to pick a game and say, I'm going to dedicate this time. So when you run into issues, it becomes a little,
and to coordinate with 5 other friends or even 2 or 3 other friends is really tough. So all right, so now that people are hyped, we've laid down our hard-earned cash, what happens next? Oh man. All right, let me hit these in quick succession.
Let down as possible.
All right, the top comment makes a great point. They should have had an open beta to see what the interest levels were, because they only had closed betas going up to it. Carter FN says they need to stop selling the game or put it on pause or give players extra in-game coins. So talking about some kind of compensation.
Agreed.
Who bought early, or make it a discount until it fixes, because it's been days, right? The Mark says game has so much potential, just need to wait almost 1 to 2 hours to play. Getting off work and seeing that garbage queue is trash. I just queue up YouTube videos and give Marvel Snap some time. Okay, so just trying to pass the time in queue. And then the last one, I don't know how much weight this holds, but Nate is saying, what's funny is, had this been any other game, they wouldn't be getting a pass. I keep hearing people saying they expected it. So you expected to spend money on a game you can't play. I played 8 hours in total, so I don't know what the refund status is for PS5. Okay, this is a lot to go through.
Guilty. I said that.
let's start with the first one, right? Okay. We have some other, we've had even some people in our Discord kind of echoing these types of comments in the conversations we're having that, look, they should have had an open beta or at least a stress test. But then I think you're just moving the ball down the road. You just would have had the issues then. But maybe we would have given them time before the real release. I don't know. Doesn't this make too much sense, Scott, to not do that?
It does. And I said in the other video, I just don't think they were expecting the numbers they got. And that just put them in a bind that they couldn't walk back, right? But yeah, they should have. In hindsight, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but in a way, I hear what you're saying about not expecting, but shouldn't they though? Like there were so many markers and signs. I felt like
that's a good point. What early access games have been this popular up to this point? I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure there are. I know Valheim was to some degree, not this scale, but I think that's why I've been giving it a pass, because I'm like, it's early access. In this day and age, we just expect issues all the time with something, whether it's servers or bugs or whatever. So I'm at the point where I'm just like, yeah, this sucks. They probably should compensate us for something, but I'm like, it is what it is. I expected it. I'm not that let down. I'm bummed, but hey, we're gonna play it anyways in a few weeks. So what does it matter? But I guess at this point we're talking about principle of the event, right?
I think so. And this is the problem with early access, because early access, like there's no standard definition to what early access means. Yeah, early access, you could get a game that's almost done or a game that is just getting off the ground.
That is literally in very early, like
very early access. Yeah, there needs to be early access, very early access.
Right.
So, yes. And so, because I think games have come out like PUBG wasn't like an early access for like a year or something. I think some companies launch a full game in early access. It's kind of a strategy, but it seems like Wayfinder really is an early access game. Like it is not finished. The housing is not finished. They're still wanting to iterate until the full launch. And I understand early access games cannot do pre-orders on Steam. So that was a hindrance for them to know how many people were interested in the game. But an open beta, it's just, why didn't you do it? Anyway, great comment. They have announced compensation, so that's coming. The queues. There's another comment in our Discord about queues where it's understandable in multiplayer games, right? Where you're playing against other people, you're trying to queue into the same servers. Those queues happen a lot in MMOs where there's a lot of people on the same realm. But this is a PvE game. This is an instance-based game. You don't need every person on the same server in the same area. So no. I kind of don't understand the queues. It seems like they could have been prepared for this. And I know there's a lot of technical stuff that we're leaving out. And a lot of it depends on, I'm sure, how much they want to invest in this hardware, and infrastructure to have a game run with this many people. And the last one, refunds. I mean, I know we talked a little bit in our video about the problems that were going on with it, and we were, I don't want to say we were lenient, but it was early days still. But now it's been almost 2 weeks.
I almost feel like out of necessity to right a wrong here, that Steam at least should offer a refund regardless of the hours you played, or at least up the hours. Because I've been sitting here like, maybe I should have refunded, but I'm already at 10 hours, which I said at the beginning, those are not 10 played hours. That is at least 9 hours and 50 minutes of actually sitting at a loading screen. So
yeah,
I think out of principle, just to kind of appease some of the players here, that offering a refund, an optional refund, would be the right thing to do. Eddie Chin, they are really a failure. 5 days early access, we can't even log in. Queue damn long. Even can log in, you get random kick from server. Kind of brainless dev ever. maybe break world record for worst launching for early access. This is a guy that sat in a queue for a long time, finally got in, had his sandwich, and it kicked him. And
paid us $150.
Yeah, this poor guy just blew a gasket. I get it. I get it.
And this was only 5 days in. Now it's almost 2 weeks in. You know, to be fair,
remember when I went out of town and I was like, man, I'm gonna miss the early access. And
yeah, and you didn't miss.
Turns
anything.
out I didn't miss anything.
It's the best thing you could have ever done. Yeah, it's look, my stance has hardened more since we did that first video. I think it's kind of unacceptable.
At this point, yes.
I know
after like 3 days, it became unacceptable. They should have had that ironed out by then.
They should have fixed the hardware. They could have, because we've seen games do it. Well, you know, all MMOs, you know, that we've been playing forever. So many times you go in, you don't have the right expectations. Maybe you add too much and then you have to merge servers, but there are no servers in this case for later down the road. So you just remove some of the hardware at that point. What a terrible impression that has been made to a game that is actually good is the frustrating thing. I'm sure for a developer, but even for me as a content creator and just gamers, we just want to play the game, right?
Yeah.
And have fun. The game is a pretty good game and it has room to improve even more. And it's just a sad thing that this is the state of it. And I know some of our friends might not even play now, you know, and
I know some are already saying I'm just going to refund. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's frustrating, you know, like I said, it doesn't really affect us in the long run. I hope they get it together, but other game companies, I mean, this is, like I said, this is the case of what not to do, you know.
Learn from it. What's done is done. Let's do right by the players that have gotten these founder packs, who have bought it and want to play, and let's make a better impression going forward. That's really all they can do. There's no point in stewing on this. Yeah, we're mad, we're upset, we want to play, but hopefully they can get their ducks in a row and we can finally start experiencing what we were excited about initially.
All right, and let's see what the last comment is. Maybe we can get out of here on a positive. The Jason Paul says, oh, very interesting take on this, guys. Wow, Jason, such a good comment. I mean, we probably should have led with this. Yeah, totally. And we appreciate you, Jason. Thanks for stopping by and leaving this.